Hello, everyone. My name is Cesar Guerrero, and today I want to share with you a little bit over TCA and how it works together with CX, and a great way to implement when you need to get AR accounts to work with CX accounts. And a lot of this is something I recently learned in a project, so I'm hoping that through this I can give you guys a good understanding of what TCA is, AR or accounts receivable, and how it ties into CX. Usually I'm implementing only sales and service, and that's also what I'm implementing right now, but being able to implement sales or service is a key part to that is not just implementing those modules, but also understanding how they affect the other modules or even work areas like ERP and HCM. So that way, if you're implementing these, you're thinking about the future state of the application, how a client, if you're implementing as a consultant, will later on be able to migrate fully if they want to do full cloud fusion. So first, what is TCA? So I'm going to give you my overview of TCA. It is the trade community architecture, which is the shared architecture between the different modules. So when you have an account, that account can be shared across CX, ERP, HCM, and TCA is at the highest level. So that is my understanding of TCA. The core TCA objects, today we're just going to go over the account object or the organization and how they tie into AR, accounts receivable, in CX. So I've kind of explained, TCA is the highest level. For those of you that don't know, AR, accounts receivable, is an ERP area, but it's important sometimes to tie our accounts and not just feed them into CX and also tie them into ERP or AR, because this also ties in directly into SCM or supply chain management, which is a key point in CX. Right now, I'm in a scenario with a customer that is going to have SCM. They're not implementing ERP, but they are doing a little bit of PIM or product information management, so products, and they also have work orders involved. And one issue that we're running into is there's a drop down in the debrief or there's a point in the process during the debrief where the user needs to, one of the admins that's managing the parts needs to go in and switch the different location or stocking locations or areas where the product's being moved to. For our client, they're not going full full cloud yet, so being able to do this will be a key point to their business process. So our workaround is going through this field manually. One thing about these fields is some of those SCM fields are only editable or available if you have them implemented in ERP. And when I say that, I'm specifically talking about the accounts receivable area. So, how does this work? How can we make it all tie together? Well, CX or Fusion does a good job of creating a high level account, if structured in this way, where that high level account after can feed AR and create the ERP account, and then through a process we can create a CX account. However, if we don't have these practices in place, it won't work the other way. Meaning, if we just create an account in CX, it won't create the account in ERP if it doesn't exist there. So it's important when you're designing that you're thinking about things like this. So that way, again, if you have a client that's only doing CX and not ERP, later on when you're going into ERP, those accounts are created, and those would also help your customer align with their future state, so that way they can plan ahead, and when they decide to go ERP, they'd be able to turn that on and the accounts are there and you're synchronized with CX. So what is our process about? How would this look like if we're going about this in a manual sense? This piece right here can all be done in one step. So we could create a customer account, and then as we create that customer account, we can define the site, and then I add the site use. So like if it's a bill to, ship to account, and then we run a scheduled process, and that allows the account to go into CX. All right, that's if we're creating every field manually, but most of the time you're going to have way too many accounts to be able to do something like this, and you're going to need to do a data load or integration. So how would you approach it? First, you would want to feed into the TCA account. That table, I believe, is called HZ, or it's the HZ table. And from that point, when you create an account at the TCA table or that level, you're going to get a party ID generated that at that point you can use to feed into AR. There's a SOAP API that you can use to go from the TCA party to feed and create the AR account, and that would create the customer account. You would then, after the account's made, you would use another SOAP call to create the corresponding site, and using that, at that point, you're going to have a party ID that's been created for AR. You'd use that to feed the site, and then you would also use that to feed the after the site's made, the site used. So is it ship to, bill to, and after that we would run a scheduled process, and only after that we do that, the account would all be available in CX. So that way your accounts would be synchronized. In our design, I'm making we have an external source, so CX is not going to be creating accounts. We're just going to be going downstream from TCA. But if we were, there is a script there are scripts that you can do that where you can create an account in CX manually and then make that feed AR, and that way you're able to do that full 360 or circle, right? I won't be showing that in this video, but I thought I'd mention it because I have a friend or a colleague that's made that work and done that. So next I want to share with you how we would do this from the environment. So I will get out the demo environment. 1 second. All right, so for those of you that don't know, right now I am in setup and maintenance, and then I went into the task search and looked up manage customers. From manage customers, we could search on existing accounts here, but in my case, I want to just show you how to make an account appear in CX from the ERP side and starting from the TCA table. So if we hit plus here, we're going to get prompted to this create page. Let's call this test, TCA test. Okay, so this is the highest level. This is going to create our account at the TCA level. This is its registry ID. This is going to be one of our primary keys that we can use later to update. Remember what I said, that if you're not doing the integration, you could go about it this way. You could think about it as this is the TCA table, and these are the AR tables. So the account AR, the address AR, and then at the bottom, the address purpose would be the purpose of the AR, ship to, bill to. So I'm just going to do this test account, and I just want you guys to be able to see, how you could create an account. It's important to list it, the account type. So in this case, I'm going to say it's an external account customer. For the account address set, we can do customer site. You can have different responses. I had enterprise in another environment I was doing, but for this, I'm just going to do customer site. The site name. When you're searching on sites, this will for me, for service right now, I'm doing a project where site name is something that users are searching on. So being able to be mindful of this field, because it is important. Sometimes you can have an address, but the site name is going to allow your users to redirect where they want a specific item. So an item might be at 123 Washington, but maybe you have it at the top shelf in front of the entrance or something like that. So that's where you could define shelf in the front. And then you can add a mail stop, and then I'm just going to add test. Site language, you can add all this information if needed. I think on my end, I don't need anything else other than this, and then I'm just going to add the purpose. And then I'm going to do bill to, and I'm also going to do ship to. Or, oh, I guess that's it. Yeah, never mind. Bill to. And I think there's another area we can define if it's a ship to or anything. Again, since this is an ERP or AR, this would make more sense to me that it's only bill to. So we did bill to, we added an address, and we created our account. Okay, so let's hit save and close. When I first made an account here, I thought that, this would be it. That would be we create the account here, and then we're done. But no, there's a few other steps, and I want to make sure that I show them to you. The first one we're going to do after this page loads is we're going to go into scheduled processes and run a scheduled process. So I am in a demo environment, so the environment may be a little slow. Okay, we are done loading there. Let's go into show more, scheduled processes. I'm going to hit scheduled processes or scheduled process. All right, so now that the area's popped out, I'll put CX and a percentage sign. And then if you see, we get, you can also look this up, but this one's synchronized accounts and contacts of Oracle Financials to Oracle CX Sales. So we'll hit OK. Oh, there we go, after submit, and then we'll hit refresh. Okay, now I'll hit refresh, and we'll see that the status is waiting. Now it's running. Now it's completed. Perfect. So if we were doing something like Classic, this would probably be the end of it. But if you're using Redwood, it's important to always, after doing a process like this where there's a load from one area in the system to another, you're going to want to do you're going to want to go into configure adaptive search. And in this demo environment, I'm not allowed to go in here because I don't think they want us to change that around, but I just want you to know that, you would go in here, you would hit run on the scheduled process, it would run, and then after that, the account would be visible. In this case, I haven't been able to run the process. They might have timed it and it'll be available for me, but I don't think so. But I'll still search on it. All right, and I'm gonna hit X. And if I were to search on it, I have the account number. That one isn't going to work. TCA. Oh, there we go. It's this one, TCA test. So if you remember the TCA test account, this was what we added. We added the account was TCA test, and I think the only other thing we did was we added the test address. So when I open it, we see the address here is test. And then if I go into addresses again, show addresses, and let's open up that test address. And you can see the what I wanted to show you was this. The type was also updated, the bill to. So again, for summary, the process is create the record at TCA level, then the account level, then add your site information, and then your site use. And then after, run a scheduled process for CX to get the data from AR or financials. And then finally, if you need to, configure adaptive search, run that process. And that's how you'll get all of the accounts to be synchronized from financials into CX. So I hope this helped, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.